Hi guys, welcome to video 4, Drawing on a Computer. Just to let you know, I'm not going to stick with the tablet. I'm going to do that as a separate video and I'll slot that into the course, so you'll actually be getting 11. For now I'm just going to concentrate on free software and a little bit on some of the paid stuff, okay? So you will be getting tuition on tablet drawing at a later date, probably in about a week's time. I would imagine that would be fine, yeah? So let's get straight into this. I'm going to start off with a product that everybody knows very, very well, Microsoft Paint. Okay, now we use Paint all the time. It's a very useful, free and diverse and actually very clever product, because most people never explore it. They just assume it's rubbish because it's free, but actually there's a whole bunch of stuff I use Paint for. In fact, a huge amount of my cartooning is done in Paint, and I'll show you why. The first thing you have is a paste from drop down, which is extremely useful, because what you can do here is you can drop 2, 3 or 4 images onto the page and blend them and mix them together and really actually have quite a lot of fun with it, because you can make the work page very big and use images that are smaller, and so you can paste them in from the various overlays and images you've got in your file, okay, in your files. Coupled with that, there's another very useful feature which I use a lot, which is the blending and blurring feature, which you can use to meld the two pictures into one. For example, here we've got, this is one of my Shaman guides. It was published recently. That's a few parts who's just invented the wheel, and there you can see that. Anyway, if I wanted to blend that dolphin picture into it for some reason, and I can't imagine why I would, what I would do is I'd paste straight in from the file and stick it on there, and then you can move it around. Now you can start to add colour to it, and you can lose all those edges. As you can see here, you can use the various brush strokes, textures, colours, and you can colour up your drawing. There's a very useful one which I use a lot, which is, I'll show you in a second, it's the airbrush here. Can you see that? Now that gives you a lovely diffuse spotting effect, and you can run it. The faster you run it, the thinner the colour is, and you can blend beautifully with that. It's almost a blurring technique. Another great thing that you can do with Paint is all the textures, various things here called, like speech bubbles and thought bubbles and all sorts of things, and you can use those, like I've done here, make very nice texts. But also something I've started doing a lot more, which is using handwritten texts, because the old style of cartooning was all about calligraphy, and you'd actually send your cartoons out to a letterer to get the speech bubbles done, because, to be honest, most cartoonists are pretty crap when it comes to trying to do lettering. So that's a very useful feature. I use that quite a lot now. I've started using a lot more hand-drawn and written texts. Okay. Another thing you can do is to use a program called Microsoft Office Picture Manager. Now this has other features which you can mix in with Paint very well. You can use the brightness and contrast, colour, and various other things there, and you can actually refine your picture a lot, and you can put shading in with it and all sorts of things. One thing I will say is, don't forget to keep saving your pictures, because you can go on for 10 minutes doing some really great tweaks and adjustments to your picture, and suddenly, bang, it's all gone, yeah? But if you save regularly, up on the top left there, you'll see a little save icon. Just keep clicking that, or use the Control S feature on your computer, because that'll save your work for you. You do not want to get 10 minutes into a drawing and suddenly all the changes you've made have disappeared up the chimney. I've done that so many times. I have a sign on my whiteboard, don't forget to save, which helps a lot. There are paid products you can use as well, and most of them are made by Adobe, the best ones. There are a few others. Adobe Creative Cloud. It used to be Adobe Creative Suite, and I've got that on my laptop, and I will not lose that. I've actually cut off the internet from one of my laptops, so that Adobe can't come in and remove that, which they will do if you've got a cheap or free version on there. If you want to invest money in making your graphics, you can use Adobe, and that's the site to go to. I'll give you more information on that if you want, but it's available. All you have to do is type in Adobe and Creative Cloud will come up, and then you can access that. It's a very powerful program. I don't know how much it costs because I haven't bought it for ages. Another free product, however, which is almost as good as Illustrator, in fact I enjoy it a lot, is GIMP, G-I-M-P. You can download this from SourceForge, which is a trusted free source server on the internet there, which you can use to download programs like GIMP. Now I'll just give you a few ideas about GIMP because it's extremely powerful. It's a great program and you can do a lot of vector work. Now if you don't know what vector work is, there are two types of drawings on the internet, on a computer. There's dots, which are pixels, pixelated drawings, and you'll see some of those in a second. And then there's vector drawings. Now vector drawings are not comprised of pixels. They're comprised of clean lines. In other words, no matter how much you zoom in on a picture, you will not see pixels. It's great for things like printing t-shirts and huge big signs on the fronts of buildings, but it's also very good for high definition graphics on the internet because you can zoom in and zoom in and zoom in and you will not lose the resolution. So yes, Adobe uses the vector system, and so does GIMP. But you know, GIMP is a bit more complicated, but it is free. It saves you £400 or £500. It's about $750, I think, and you get to use, you know, professional standard software for nothing, but you have to do the work. Here's a typical GIMP page. As you can see, if you know anything about Adobe, you'll be familiar with most of the tools on the left and also the layering and various other tools on the right there. Your drawing platform is right in the center. That GIMP logo doesn't appear in your final drawing, it's just there for the program. You can upgrade, but I've never bothered with GIMP because it's got so many features in the free version that you know, it's not worth it. But anyway, well, it probably is worth it, but I've never tried it. So there's GIMP. Now let's go back to pixelated non-vector work, and I'll show you what happens here. Here's a drawing, okay? Then we're back in Paint now. This is a drawing of a character I did. He was an old gamekeeper and he was a miserable old git, and I'm going to show you what pixelation is because a lot of people don't know. The drawing up on the left there, the small picture, looks fairly okay. Your eyes adjust to the pixels, but if you zoom in on it like that, and again I'll zoom in again in a second and you'll see even more so. Let's go to that now, and here's the zoomed in version. Can you see the tiny dots? They're all tiny dots. Every single line is made up of hundreds of dots all joined together. So when you look very closely, it reveals that the pictures are made up of all these tiny pixels which can be deleted. Now you can actually work on each pixel. You can delete, you can change the color, you can turn it to grey, you can turn it to blue, you can do what you like, and you can get some amazing effects, but it's very hard work. Much better to work in vector if you can. Okay, so that's what pixelation is. If we go in even closer, I think there's a slide here, there it is. Here's, now you can definitely see each individual pixel. Now if you take Paint here and you go into the eraser, which is the picture of the little rubber on the left of the taskbar there, you can use that to remove all those horrible little black dots all over the place if you want to, but actually sometimes they add character to your drawing. If it's a pencil drawing that you've scanned in or a pen and ink drawing, those little dots are blemishes that have turned up in the paper. So when you send that up to the editor and he wants to print it in a magazine, suddenly you've got real blemishes on paper, and suddenly your cartoon takes on the natural look again. You can zoom in as much as you want on this, but using Control and the mouse wheel, so you've got a very powerful tool there. And again, don't forget it's free. I'm now going to tell you a little bit about lettering, because in the old days, as I said to you before, what cartoonists like Hergé used to do, they used to write a script and send the script off to a letterer together with black and white drawings, and that letterer, his job was to do the calligraphy and put in all the lovely comments and speech bubbles like this. You see, there's cartoon text. Now these days everybody on the internet uses this awful font called Comic Sans MS, which is actually one I use. When I started out I was using that a lot, and I got some very negative feedback from people saying, why are you using this, this font? It's awful. It's probably the most unpopular text in existence, and whole websites have been written just about how awful it is. So I suggest, if you don't already do that, vary and try different text styles and fonts, because you'll get a much better effect. But some cartoonists, some on the course that we're doing here actually, they hand letter. Now hand lettering is never as clean and perfect as the fonts you'll get out of the software, but once again it brings the cartoon alive. One of our guys, I won't mention his name at the moment, but he hand letters his cartoons and they look absolutely phenomenal, and we will be seeing some of his work. So get into the habit of having a little go at learning calligraphy, learning just basic lettering skills, okay, because it will make a lot of difference to the end result, and it will actually affect whether people publish you or not, because if you've got handwritten fonts, immediately people think you're amazing because nobody can letter. Okay, that's really all I wanted to cover in this video, but the next one we're going to talk about how to make blocks in vector and how to colour them in and how to get graduated tones and all the rest of it. And we'll also talk a little bit about how to use a tablet, a graphics tablet, which personally I don't like. I prefer pen and ink and pencils. As you know, scan them straight into your computer, either in colour or black and white, and that's the end of the job. So thanks for watching, and we'll take this further in the next part of this video, which is all, as I said, is all about tablets and computer graphics. Okay, thanks for watching, take care, bye.